Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mr. Happy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays, the weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. The calm before the storm. I haven't posted much in the way of videos in the past couple weeks as I get myself in a proper mental state. Like I said last week, a lot of things going on, just making sure that this up here is the thing that's staying A-OK. Head of Endwalker. I do already have some plans, though. We might see preliminary patch notes this week, in which case we will have a video for that. Sly is organizing a pre-early access State of the Realm, so thank you to him for doing that. And any other things we can get this week. I do want to do a couple of things this week, just some small things so I don't go a little too crazy, you know. But right now, I guess I'm driving myself crazy with Pokemon shiny hunting and BDSP, so I guess the mental state might be frayed already. So we'll see about that. But from Friday onward, I am going to be making sure to highlight my story playthrough, and I will probably break that down specifically into the quests. That way it's still me watching all the cutscenes, but like a lot of the in-between little stuff I can just cut out. That's not going to come out for a while, though, because that's going to take a lot of editing and a lot of trimming. It's going to be tens of hours. And it's also going to come out in multiple parts. For the dungeon walkthroughs, I'm going to be doing kind of talk-along style walkthroughs as I play through a dungeon. For that, I'm trying to debate how I want to do it best, because my my keyboard normally makes a lot of noise, so I thought about maybe doing them on controller, but that's not going to be super comfortable for me either. So I might do like an RTX voice thing, which might make the audio a little scuffed, but would still make it so I could post some dungeon walkthroughs and some trial walkthroughs as they're coming out, because I probably won't have time to do properly edited videos. And then I can do the properly edited videos and guides like I normally do after the fact for the normals, the extremes, yada, yada, yada. So that's what the plans are looking like currently. Of course, we'll be doing podcasts on First Thoughts, Spoiler Cast, Pandemonium Normal, Pandemonium Savage, all that stuff. So they're going to be busy again. Trust me. Anyway, let's get to the questions, because I'm hungry. I ate before this, but it was like 4 hours ago at this point. So I want to grab something, put it in my stomach. So thank you to our sponsors over on Patreon for supporting. They have no reason to. All my content is free here, but people wanted it years ago, so I set it up. Thank you to all of them. Thank you to our patrons of Darkness, Khuja, Janova, and Kurenai Oni for going above and beyond. And thank you to all of you for tuning in and hopefully asking some questions that I'll have decent answers to. Let's find out. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Tataru Tuesdays. No, I don't need Zodiark taking my shtick. Hey, Mr. Happy. Hi. Just for a fun question, okay. When another physical range is added, what kind of weapon would you have them use? I want an auto crossbow. I say an auto crossbow. I know Machinist has an auto crossbow, but I want like dual crossbows, like Demon Hunter style crossbows. So that's an easy one for me. So I went the Sage route and say with Chemist for a healer, maybe we'll get No, we'll never see Chemist. Like, I don't think we'll ever see a form of Chemist. Sage being medically themed is the closest you're going to get, I think. So no, I'm going to go with the double crossbow style job. Very agile, very quick. Got dodge rolls and stuff. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Haps. Hi. Hope you're doing well. Same. Just a few more days, and I couldn't be more excited. Hell yeah. My question is, looking back on all the expansions, what was your favorite story moment from each? And how do you choose just one for Endwalker? So I'm going to do this as spoiler-free as possible. I'm just going to give, like, patch name and, like, a general description without going too in-depth. A Realm Reborn, for me, this is going to sound crazy, but the Praetorium is still one of my most exciting things. I actually do think, though, that the 2.2 cutscene in the Sahagin area is a big contender for me there. So yeah, I'm going to go with that. That's a personal favorite. For Heavensward, it's easily after the Final Steps of Faith. The Final Steps of Fate. No, it was Steps of Faith. I was right the first time. Easily there from patch 3.3. Stormblood 4.1 was a sleeper hit for me. I thought that was one of our best 0.1 story patches that we had, especially up to that point. Dealing with some of the more political aspects of Alamigo. It's too bad that those aspects didn't end up really mattering as much as I had wished they would. And then for Shadowbringers, it's a tough one. There's a lot of good moments in Shadowbringers. So I'm going to go with I'll go with the easy. I'll go with the end of 5.0. Like, it's just so high up there. And I have a lot of favorite moments, so that was a tough one, but I'll go with that. Hi, Happy. Hi. You mentioned that Rathalos can be soloed by a certain job. Out of interest, what job would you recommend to clear Rathalos solo as quickly as possible? I would not recommend soloing Rathalos pre-90. After we get to level 90 and you have some gear and you unsync it, even with the stat squish and everything, that's going to be really easy. So almost every job, I think, will be able to do it by then. Right now, it needs to be a job that hits very fast. Samurai, Ninja... The tanks being able to survive, like Warrior can do it pretty easily. Gunbreaker can probably do it. But you really want Echo. Even if you are playing as a job, I say that can quote-unquote do it easily. I did it on Machinist, for example. You probably want Echo still now, even though the gear is a little better than when I did it. So I'd say just wait till level 90, and it'll probably be a much, much easier time. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Haps. Hi. Still standing? No, I'm sitting right now. Hope so. But I'm not. Anyway, as for my question, I've been doing a lot of Beast Tribe quests lately. Realize how many we actually have. What do you think of removing the daily cap? Dude, I champion for this once a month. There should not be a cap on the old Beast Tribe dailies. They shouldn't contribute to it. It doesn't make any sense. Like, you still only get like 3 or whatever a day, but not that like 12 total. Yeah, I've been advocating for that for ages, so we're on the same page with this one. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Happy, how you doing? I'm doing all right. You doing all right? I'm doing all right. The servers are set to go live for Endwalker at 1 a.m. Pacific. Yes. Based on your experience with past expansions, how accurate is this time? I can tell you what, it won't be up early, but it might be up late. It's 50-50 on whether it actually is up at that time, and maybe a few minutes earlier, like at most like 5 minutes earlier, but no earlier than that. Like it's gonna be 1 a.m. PST or later. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello, Happy. Hi. So you know the 24 man is going to be focused on the 12. Do you think there'll be any difference between the players based on the patron god they chose? No. It's a deadweight decision. I don't think they make it have any sort of impact on this, not even in the dialogue. There might be a place in the dialogue that like acknowledges it for a second, but that's it. And I don't even think they'll do that, to be honest. Just a quick lightning rounder. Somebody asked how I thought the servers would fare on Friday as well, and I'm 50-50. Even in the question, it says that their friends and guildies are like waffling, like, oh, I don't know, it could be good, it could be bad. I'm the same way. I don't know what to expect on Friday, but I'm fingers crossed that it turns out well. As for the question in front of me, I have a question. Oh, hi. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, Happy. Hi. Hope you're doing well. Same. I have a question related to primal summoning. How many instances of singular primals can exist at a time? So there's nothing to indicate you can't summon multiple versions of the same primal, because they're all just figments of the imagination, essentially, that are being given life. So if there were 6 different groups that all praised Ifrit, for example, there's nothing to indicate. Keep in mind, there's nothing to suggest that you can do it, but there's nothing to suggest that we can't do it. Summon 6 different versions of Ifrit based on how these individual groups have determined, as long as they've got crystals, as long as they've got belief, there's no reason to believe we couldn't. Now, I will say that it seems like the same believers, because they are dedicated to this one specific version, this one image that they have, and they are always trying to bring back that one. I would assume the same group of people can only ever summon one. Now, whether that's a logistic thing, as in it is impossible for them to summon another one, or just that like they're tempered and they would never choose to summon a second one because this is their one true deity. Like, they don't believe in the fact that there are multiple. They don't think that even in the slightest. So there's a lot of elements, but I don't think there's a set it has to be this way. And that's kind of been a thing with primals for years now. Every rule that we keep thinking that there is, the story unravels it in some way and then uses it as like to further the plot somehow. And that'll probably continue to happen even throughout our finale here with Endwalker. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello. I hope you're well and or swell. Hey, same to you. One thing that really stood out to me about the Media Tour is how much more AoE friendly all the jobs are now. It's obviously good. Got me thinking about endgame activities. Do you think we could start seeing more mobs and raids, like certain stages in Alexander? No, I don't think this is any indication of it. I feel this way about a lot of the changes that people are kind of digging into the details on, or like theory crafting on. I don't think that much changes about structure for anything. They might feel a little more free to do things if they have an idea, but it doesn't mean that that's like the whole structure is moving. They just understand that the experience is so widely different for people, and that that can lead to some disdain. That can lead to some people not wanting to do certain things on these jobs, to not be comfortable on these jobs in AoE situations. So I think it's all it is to just make AoEing not feel like you're playing a completely different game than when you're playing the job the rest of the time. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Mr. Happy. Hi. Hope the Endwalker hype is getting you psych. Oh yeah, I'm really feeling it today. It's Sunday when I'm recording this, and I'm feeling it today. Personally, I'm someone who is a completionist that loves to farm achievements. Looking back through the logbook, do you think some of them are unreasonable? Final Fantasy XIV has some of the laziest achievements I've ever seen in a game. There is almost no creativity or interesting factor. It's just do this 1 time, do this 5 times, do this 10 times, do this 1,000 times, do this 10,000 times, get 3 million points of that, get 5 million points of this. And they're all grindfest and lazy, in my opinion. And I would love for more interesting ones. The Blue Mage ones are the only ones that I don't feel that way about. And then some of the fishing ones, like the ocean fishing ones. But even then, it's still, they're not, there's not enough of them. At the very least, there's not enough interesting ones. So yeah, no, I agree. I don't like most of them. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello, Haps. Hope you get enough rest for the, to last the Endwalker release week. Fingers crossed. Or this isn't, shut up. Anyway, with the apparent massive popularity of Reaper, I have 2 questions. Okay, question number 1, do you think people will be turned away by the massive amount of players using it? No, I think people like sides too much. Anyone who wants to play it's at least going to get it to 90. You know what I mean? And 2, do you think Party Finder will exclude it? So here's the thing. I don't think Party Finder will exclude it, but I think that most people will run with only 1 of each job. A pretty standard thing for the Party Finder. And there will be enough Reapers that it may be annoying to get into a Party Finder strictly because of the volume. Now, that's not to say that what you've said won't come to pass. I know people who cut samurais out of their Party Finders because they were just getting a ton of not good samurais. I think what you've suggested here is reasonable, and I think we'll see it here or there, but I think we've moved further away from that problem in most content, so it's only specific types of people, and you generally don't want to join those types of people's parties anyway. So I'm not that worried about it. Quick lightning round. Somebody asked me what School of Magic scholars use, and I don't know the answer. I think it is arcane magic. I think it falls under that same category as arcanists. So, but I don't have a confident answer, so I had to skip that one. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello, Mr. Happy. I was planning on using a Fantasia to change the male VR and wonder if it's better to use one right before Endwalker or wait till it launches. No, use it before, but bear in mind that if you want to actually Fantasia your character when you boot up Endwalker, you need to be naked. So use the Fantasia, but also remember to take off all your gear. So that way you can properly do the swap. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure you have to do that. I haven't Fantasia'd in a long time. So just make sure that you meet the conditions to actually change before the maintenance actually begins. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Leviosa, my dude. That's not how you say hello. That's levitate, I think. Hope you're doing well. Same. So I've asked before about starting to do Savage raids, but I wanted to ask one more question. Okay. Do you think the level increase might make doing unsynced Savage raid clears I'm confused. People already do that. That has nothing to do with the level increase. I mean, it'll make doing Eden unsynced not even just viable. It'll make it easy as heck. But, like, yeah, people already do that. It's just nobody does that. Nobody does that to learn raids, because you can just get carried through or ignore stuff most of the time. That's like what you do when somebody doesn't have an item or wants a specific item or needs to unlock an ultimate. You just unsync and just destroy it most of the time. So you're not going to get much of a learning experience out of it, and it's not like something that people do frequently as like for a fun thing unless it has a purpose. Well, that's not a hashtag, but at least it says Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Haps, wishing you a happy launch day. Haha. Hope your queue is short. I hope all 4 of the people who I'm leveling Reaper with, I'm one of the 4, so I guess the other 3. I hope we all have a very short queue. With the Realm Reborn, we got Rogue Ninja. Skip Heavensward, we get Blue Mage and Stormblood post-launch. Following a possible trend, do you get likelihood we'll get it? No, we're never going to get another full job, ever, between expansion releases. Rogue Ninja was supposed to come out in 2.0 along with Summoner and Scholar. Didn't make it. So, and Arcanist, I suppose. So they released it in 2.4. We will never see another full job release in the middle of an expansion. Now, limited jobs like Blue Mage, which we got on the very tail end of Stormblood, not really right in the middle, those are possible. But we don't know what their perceived success or failure of Blue Mage is. Is it a system they'll even continue past what they've already designed up to level 80 for Blue Mage? Or is this it? Did they just determine, okay, never mind, this idea didn't really fly as well as we had hoped. Let's not do another limited job. So that's it. If it is any job, it's a limited job. Never a full job again. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Haps. Hi. First time question. So it's possible you've answered this 100 times. I've probably answered most of these like 100 times. So, but I still have like almost 400 episodes now. So, hey, ask it anyway. What are your thoughts on deep dungeons? Boring. I hate deep dungeons. Like, here's the thing. I really enjoy solo content. Deep dungeon is something I will solo each of them a grand total of 1 time because I cannot hold the interest of doing it again. And doing it to level, it's just, they're not, I don't find them that interesting. Like, I'm so glad I've done my solos for those, and they are, as I've said, done. Because I do not want to do them again. But I do like watching other people do them, so I don't have to do them. So I'll just continue to watch Angelus Demonus as he does it. Shout out to him. Are we getting any new ones? Yeah, they already said we're getting one in Endwalker. But they make it seem like it's not just going to be like the old ones, which might actually make it more exciting for me. We'll find out. And 48 player content, I mean, you got to be more specific. But if you're talking like DRS, pretty cool, but the reward structure isn't that great on DRS compared to Baldesion. And the hard cap at 48 people, like you need or you can't do it with less, which they've since remedied, but on launch, that's how it was. I kind of wish it wasn't like that. Like, I wish there was some flexibility for like having 1 less people or 1 less person or 3 less people or something like that, because it is just too much of a pain. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Haps. Hi. Hope you're having a good day. I am. I caught a random shiny today that I didn't even want, but you know what? At least it was shiny. I have 2 questions for you today. Sure. Question number 1. With the way people have been talking about Dark Knight for the entirety of Shadowbringers and the changes it got for Endwalker, do you think they'll eventually rework the job? Warrior and Dark Knight have kind of always been on the chopping block for me since Shadowbringers. I felt like one or both of them could honestly use kind of an identity update. Not even that, honestly, it's moved away from being because they're similar, because they're really not. When I leveled Dark Knight, it did not feel anything like playing Warrior. The Delirium and Inner Release is really where like the similarities felt like they ended, and especially now, that doesn't track for me anymore. But I also am not. You know what? I'll say I don't think I think maybe saying they need a rework is overkill. I wouldn't mind an update to their identity to make them more exciting. I find Paladin and Gunbreaker's identities are far more interesting, but I do see the value in the super simplicity that is Warrior. It's powerful, it's easy to pick up as your first tank, and you feel good while you're playing it. Dark Knight, lot of OGCD spamming. The resource management, I think, is good. And I feel like those things get glanced over a lot when people are talking about Dark Knight. But that being said, Enhanced Unmend is a joke, and I hope it didn't make it into the full game. I hope they replaced it with something else, because Enhanced Unmend... I don't think they reworked them. I really don't think they're going to. I wouldn't mind, but I don't think they will. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Apps. Hi. With belts going away, would you say it's time efficient to desynth them all the day before? I desynth them already, except for the ones that I like really, really need or can't be desynthed yet. I've already gotten rid of almost all my belts. More important, remove the materia. Extract any materia you can from them, because you can then take that materia, transmute it, and hopefully walk away with some crafting and gathering materia to sell right as the expansion launch. Or get grade 8 crafting, or get grade 8 materias, and then after the expansion goes live, transmute them and hopefully get grade 9s to sell very early on the market for a nice price, or use them yourself. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Good day, Mr. Happy. Hi, hello, and hope Thanksgiving was all right. Yeah, we did it on Friday, and I did my first turkey. I didn't get to do it how I wanted to. It was all right. It wasn't great, to be honest. So next time I'm gonna do duck. I don't even like turkey that much, to be honest. Even when it's done well, I just think chicken, duck, like other birds and other meats just taste better. Turkey's just good. It's voluminous, so it's really good at feeding a lot of people. I'll give turkey credit in 2 places. The skin and turkey gravy. Turkey gravy is great. The carcass and all the drippings make for some great, great stuffing. I mean, some great gravy. And for those thinking of stuffing, I would make my stuffing separately anyway, and I would probably use the drippings for that as well. So then, you have 2 quick questions. 1, what is the craziest off-the-wall scenario you would like to see in-game? I don't like to do things like that, because I want... If I can come up with a scenario and then it happens, yeah, I look kind of giga-brained, but I don't like it to be that kind of predictable, and I don't want what I'm thinking to ever actually happen. Unless it's like, wouldn't it be funny if... And even then, I kind of just like to take things in as they come. So it's like, I don't want to see anything in-game that's unlikely to actually happen. Because if it's unlikely to happen, that means that it probably doesn't fit super well in the themes. And it won't happen, thus I'm getting excited over nothing, essentially. And 2, what do you think might be a way to add some in-rooms to our houses? Probably not. The way the in-rooms are programmed is probably very separate from the way the houses are programmed. And they probably have to be entered in very select states, and that'd probably be very low on their priority list for things to actually do. So I don't think they'll ever do that, to be honest. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey there, Mr. Happy. Hi. I recently noticed that Endwalker changes, many jobs are more GCD focused or had some OGCDs removed. New Summoner, Reaper, Monk, and Healer GCDs given damage to name a few. Okay, yeah, you mean like the new Astro ability, like Macrocosmos and stuff. Okay. Do you think it's a coincidence or design philosophy going forward? So I think they want more jobs that people don't feel hyper overwhelmed to play, but still have a long string of gameplay that's expected from you. So Reaper manages to go through 3 systems in the process of getting you to your burst window. You have your normal skills, you have your soul gauge, and you have your, oh man, it's been so long since I've had to talk about it. The final gauge that lets you use your big thing. I have it. Hold on. So yeah, but while I'm reconfirming the name because I haven't had to talk about it in a while, probably important given that I'm playing it this Friday. It manages to string you through all those things and give you tons of tools to manipulate those gauges while making sure that your GCD is the most important thing you're ever considering when you're actually trying to come up with a rotation, come up with a method of playing it. Shroud gauge, that's what it's called. And I think that's really good because it creates very different feeling experiences that can give a player a more set idea of how they want to go about playing it. Now, I don't think it necessarily makes things simpler. It makes them lower on APM. But when you create a slower gameplay cycle with more options, even if hardcore players will pick apart those options, come up with what's best, and follow it every time, and because it's slower, it might come off as easier to them. A player who's picking that up for the first time, who doesn't know the guides, who hasn't been playing the game, who just maybe hasn't played this job or anything like it before, is going to get a whole different experience. And that's the big thing, the more jobs they add to the game, that they need to make sure they do. They need jobs to feel different. Now, if they can adjust an old job and make that kind of gameplay cycle fit with their new identity, that's great. Summoner and Reaper, for example, both have varying speeds to their damage windows. Reaper, of course, has its Shroud gauge and going super fast for those 5 GCDs and getting set up to that point. Summoner has, an instant cast phase where they can spam, but also has a 3.5 second cast. They have a phase that's all cast bars, which takes all their mobility and makes you have to play around when those long cast bars are going to be used. And then they have a hyper mobility phase with a lot of OGCDs. It's making sure that each of those summons has their own identity in your gameplay loop, and that all of these things are integral to your gameplay loop. And for me, that's the most important thing. It's not how many buttons you have. It's not how much APM you need to be maintaining throughout the fight. It's clear identity and gameplay loops that are varied and fun, depending on, of course, the person. And I think that they're achieving that quite well. I'm willing to play like 6 or 7 jobs. I told my raid group, like, pick a job that we need and a role we need, and I will play it. Except for like these 2, because I really don't want to play those 2. I think it was like Dragoon and Samurai. I was like, I don't want to play those 2, but I'll play anything else. Just tell me what you want. And Red Mage. I didn't want to play Red Mage. Although, honestly, I wouldn't even mind Red Mage, but I don't want to play it. So, compared to everything else, definitely not. But it feels great, and I'm looking forward to really diving into a lot of jobs this expansion. This one says no hashtag because probably lightning round, but now I'm not doing it in the lightning round. Hello, Mr. Happy. Hope you're doing well. Hey, same to you. Hi. Have you seen the new trend of tanking bosses sideways? So You say here you're not talking about the pissing contest with one tank at 12 and 9. So I'm assuming you're talking about a 45-degree angle. Yes, this has been a thing for a long time, actually, but depending on the encounter, it's more or less common. So what this does is, essentially for your melees, it makes basically the direct south. Let's say it makes, like, let's say you're tanking the boss dead center, and instead of having the boss north and the rear, the boss facing north and its rear directly south, you turn it slightly, so that way the line between the flank and the rear is in the spot where the rest of the party needs to be. And that is so your melees don't actually need to worry about their positioning that much. It's easier for them to stay with the group and still do all their positionals. This is a lot less common when you're just doing like a tank and spank phase, or like if a boss is constantly readjusting themselves to the center of the room. But if there's a phase where the boss needs to be put in a specific location, and the tank can do that turn because the melees need to stand incredibly still in order to be safe, they do it. Ultima is one of the first locations I can really think of it being common, the weapons refrain, where during the primal roulette at the end, you usually try to turn the boss. There's a few other spots where you can usually turn there, but that's a big one. You want people to be able to get their positionals on primal roulette, but you also need to, you need to be mindful of what the actual roulette could be instead of just having everybody standing on the same spot. So there's a few different things, but yes, it's probably becoming a more popular trend because more people are, more tanks are just starting to do it. It's really on the tanks to learn this and do this. And I hope it continues, because this is a great way of helping melee optimize without asking the melee to do anything else. And it gives a little bit of tank skill expression when they understand those little micro changes that they can make. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, Haps. Hi. You doing all right? I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. You doing all right? I'm doing all right. So I wanted to level everything to 80 and pre-Endwalker and failed. Hey, still got a few days. Maybe you pull it off. I know presently the best XP per minute is Bozja. Not true. The best EXP per minute is pre-made dungeons. Now, specifically pre-made dungeons, not just running dungeons with trusts. A full group will go much faster, much more, and also a much more guaranteed pace of actually gaining EXP. With Endwalker dropping, I imagine Bozja will lose its population by a good margin. I might have just told you that pre-made dungeons are the fastest, but 90% of people who have Bozja unlocked are going to be leveling in Bozja come expansion time. So for the first several weeks, a lot of Reapers and Sages going to be there. And I'm assuming that won't trail off. People are still going to be leveling in those locations. So I expect Bozja will still be the where most people go from 71 to 80. All right, I'm implementing a new rule. And I think I mentioned doing this last week. When I hit the 30-minute mark, I'm just going to start lightning rounding questions. Because most of the time I lightning round questions, I actually still kind of answer them elaborately if I can. So this is just for editing purposes, for time-saving purposes. And it lets me try to get through all the questions because I've been missing questions because there's just too many. So let's go. Next question was, what's that new thing coming to the Gold Saucer? They haven't told us yet. It's probably not releasing until 0.1 or 0.2 patches. Somebody said they wanted an 11 cookbook. Sure, I've been cooking a lot of things. I've already cooked a few things from the 14 cookbook. They taste pretty damn good. What new tank jobs would you like to see? Bro, I know this is controversial, but I wouldn't mind if Puppet Master was a tank. I imagine, you know Princess Peach in Super Smash Bros. When she holds up Toad and blocks and it's really strong? Just do the same thing. Easy, easy, easy. I wouldn't mind a hammer job you mentioned here, Puppet Master or a hammer wielding job. I imagine if something gets 2 axes, even though it's, maybe supposed to, maybe would make a better DPS, they might make dual axes something that a tank gets as well, just because they seem to just keep doing that, and I don't know why. So, but I'm going to go Puppet. Listen, I want Puppet Master to be a DPS, but if it had to be a tank, I wouldn't mind, quite frankly. Somebody saying, thanks for the helpful content. Glad you enjoy it. Sorry, there hasn't been much of it in the past couple weeks, except on the Icy Veins channel, where I posted a new video. I should really make that video saying I'm posting stuff on Icy Veins now, huh? Well, I'm posting some things on Icy Veins. Let's see. There's another one. Since SE is adding Oceania, is there a chance they'll add Latin America? There's always a chance, but the likelihood of seeing a Latin American server without major pushes from that actual community is unlikely. I don't see as much fervor for it as I did for Australia and Oceania. So I think that's up to them. And keep in mind, localization is a hell of a problem. With Oceania, I don't think they have to do. I don't think they're adding a new language. So that, that obviously creates a bit of a helping point. and they might feel the urge to have to localize for South America or for Latin America, and that might be a big deterrent. So there's always a chance, but I won't ever say that I think it's going to happen, because I actually don't think it's going to happen. Let's see. Somebody asked if they need to be ranked 25 to level Reaper and Sage day one. No. In fact, anything, the Southern Front will be just as popular, and the max rank in the Southern Front is 15. Your EXP does not go up with your rank. Your EXP scales with your level. So your rank going up just means the amount of metal you gain from those really high-end ones go up. So I would say you're fine. I would just level in Bozja, in all honesty. And if you can get to rank 25 and you want to do Dalriada as part of your leveling, fine. But I don't think it's that important to actually do that. The next one was with 14 having gear and weapons from item level being from 4 being added. Sorry. Think of any weapons gear from any other Final Fantasies? I mean, we have tons of weapons and gear from other Final Fantasies. They're always doing fan servicey stuff. So yeah, big time. You said you don't want Blitzball as a minigame. How about as a GPS job? Stop it. I'm moving on. There's this one. I've noticed we had... There's this one. There's one that's kind of spoilery, so that's why I mumbled through it. And it's about kind of like how much we talk about how our characters related to the events of the Ascians and Shadowbringers. And I think it's deliberately left kind of vague. It's very much determined by us or by those around us. And I think they're going to leave it that way until Endwalker. I think Endwalker is going to dive a little bit more into how close our character plays to those events and who we were 12,000 years ago during the before, pre-Sundering. Who are anyone who knows the story knows what I'm talking about. I'm trying not to be any more specific than that. Let's see. Let's see. Been feeling hypocritical lately. Every time I tell them to take their time story, they'll be waiting, but I don't believe it myself, because for me, every expansion launch mania is one of the absolute best experiences. Do I just keep smiling and waving to tell my friends to take their time, or tell them to hurry up? Nah, tell them to take their time. Realistically, the content doesn't go anywhere. Yes, expansion launch is an incredibly exciting time for a lot of people. I don't think that needs to dictate how somebody else plays the game. And I don't think they need to hurry. I don't think they need to change anything. They just need to have fun. That's all there is to it. Let's see. How do I ask my questions? You just ask the question. To see how you just asked the question right now? You just ask the question. Like everybody else is doing in the comment section. Oh, somebody said hello. You skipped my last hello, but I didn't skip it that time, see? Even though it was in the lightning round. I want Bismarck and Ravana for my summoner. Please? I don't think you ever get them. I think, first of all, we have no idea what's going to happen with Eggy Glam now. So let's focus on that first. And even then, I bet like you'll see Ramuh and maybe Sephiroth, because they already have kind of Eggy models for us to use. But Bismarck and Ravana, I don't think so. Happy shiny hunting. Yeah. Oh, Kingdom Hearts question. I've been a fan of the series since Kingdom Hearts 2, but I fell off after the release of Dream Drop Distance and Union Key's initial release. I don't understand it, because of my understanding that the bad writing has really rubbed me off. What would you recommend for someone who fell out of Kingdom Hearts to try to come back to it? Debate that for another 10 years and then ask again, because it's really hard for me to recommend anybody getting into Kingdom Hearts right now. Kingdom Hearts 3, ugh. And honestly, Melody of Memory, not the worst, but I'm not excited for what's happening in Kingdom Hearts right now. I'm not excited for Nomura's hate boner for Final Fantasy 15 that is happening in the franchise right now. So it's hard for me to even give you a recommendation. Just replay Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 and pretend that it stopped there. Maybe Birth by Sleep. And just pretend that the story ended. That's my advice. Here's another hello for the lack of hello from last week. Thanks. I got a lot of lag the last week, and so did my FC mates. There was a lot of server issues last week. So that's, I don't know if it was ISP related or server related, but there were a lot of issues for people last week. So I won't say that's because of any particular thing, but know that you weren't alone, and that was an experience a lot of people shared, which you said your FC mates did as well. I don't know if they made a post about it on the Lodestone. I didn't check, but that's, if you ever have questions like that, just check out the Lodestone. If there are known issues, they'll usually post them there. If we get another Raubon Extreme, will we call it Raubon Ultimate? I don't know. We still need Raubon Savage. Oh, you know what? We kind of did. One of the Omega quests was Raubani when it first came out. But yeah, I don't know if it would be Savage or Ultimate. So I guess it depends on the severity. So please look forward to it. If we get an expansion based off Final Fantasy V, will we see Gilgamesh return? I think we'll see Gilgamesh return this expansion. So, keep your... And to be fair, Gilgamesh, kind of around in Shadowbringers. He's in one place in Shadowbringers, and, you know, he was around in Stormblood. So, I think we're going to see him again. I think we're going to see him again this expansion. Let's see. With Reaper coming out, what do you think it'll pair well with? Everything. I mean, it's a melee DPS, and almost everything in the game is on 60 and 120 seconds. I will say that Reaper will probably benefit pretty well from 90s, assuming that it doesn't cost them at their 120s, because they can probably Shroud Gauge on things like Radiant Finale. They could probably, if they have a Bard in the group, I should say, then they'll probably pair pretty well with them, because I bet that they can probably use a Shroud Gauge during Radiant Finale if it has to be on 90s at that specific time. And they could probably still have it for 2 minutes and still hit all the burst windows. So I think they're going to pair pretty well with bards. Let's see. One question: Do you think we will still have the Blessing of Light after 6.0? I don't think we'll need it. I don't think it's a matter of whether or not we'll have it. I don't think it'll be a factor anymore in anything, to be honest. But at worst, the answer is yes. At best, the answer is we don't need it. Have you been getting enough sleep? No. Anyway. Let's see. Oh, okay. Actually, there's a lot of comments here. Maybe there's not that many more questions. All right. Oh my goodness. There's so many. Just this. Sorry, I didn't say hello. I started the video and had to double take it. Your beard being shaven. Blue light blocking filtering lens are not endorsed or supported by ophthalmology because there's no scientific evidence. Yeah, I can tell you that they definitely helped my eyes and that it wasn't a placebo. But nowadays you can see I'm not wearing mine right now because of the reflection when I'm recording. But my eyes are functioning a lot better than they used to, so I can only give you what my experience was with these or has been with these, and as such I speaking of my mustache, it's growing back and it's poking the bottom of my nose and it's making it itchy. They've helped me, but if anything, like I said, go with something low risk like downloading a blue light filter. Don't need to buy a physical product. You don't need to endorse a physical product. There's free programs like Flux that if you want to see if it helps your eyes, you could do it and it would be fine. Always have 3 alphas. It's for like 6 months. I think I've had 3 alphas. No, I don't want to eat the Death Nut Challenge. I have one of them. Bro, so I took one tiny bite of the Packy chip. A, it tastes like shit. And B, bro, I've had some of the spiciest food in the world. And that chip was still like, what is this? It only took about 15 minutes for it to like subside enough to like function. But like I even just took a tiny like test bite to see what I was getting into. And I was like, this is dumb. Like, this isn't healthy. This should not be sellable. People shouldn't be legally allowed to do this without a doctor present. It's stupid. It's actually stupid. Ugh. Just not worth it. Not worth it. Somebody else even said that right here. Don't eat it. It's not worth it. That person is speaking from a place of experience and pain. Oh man, a lot of nice thumbnail. What a thumbnail. Someone should show Arthur's here. Kamaitachi. There you go. See, we got it. I think the food in the book is supposed to be heavily themed because it's actual buff food. Well, I mean, it is themed. It's themed around stuff you do in game. It's themed around like animals and stuff. But because they need to translate a lot of it to real life, it needs to be real ingredients. And also, in-game, it's like 2 or 3 ingredients to make something. And in real life, that's not how cooking works unless you're making something really simple. So, but some of them just don't feel like, it doesn't feel like I pulled them from the game itself. That's the thing. They don't feel like they're from the game. Like it says Final Fantasy 14 cookbook on the front, and when you open it, there are some times where it just doesn't feel like that's how it is anymore. But there are some in there that are really unique and interesting, and that they feel like they kind of were lifted from the game itself. Some just translate better than others. Some are just really simple. Let's see. Oh my goodness, yeah, Time Mage stuff first. Yeah, okay, I guess. Unless, I think there was one question. Oh man. I don't even know. I feel like there was a question that I actually like skimmed past and skipped and maybe didn't even lightning round, but I don't remember what it was. So I'm sorry if that's the first. There's somebody who was like, there's a reason Final Fantasy 11's still around. You think the leveling in 11 is boring? How about the 14 gear grind? Yeah, but the leveling in 11 is like how they get you to keep playing. And 14 is like, no, you can stop. That's fine. There's a big difference between the two. And Final Fantasy 11 adding even more leveling to the game. It goes to show that it's been around so long. They don't know what else to do. They just occasionally they need to like reset things a little bit and create a new point of power with which to balance the end game. And they've been doing that a lot since hitting item level 119. They like, oh, we hit this item level, we're not going to raise the item level anymore. But then they add superior gear, and then they add, job points, and then they add these new master level things that are there. And then they add, like, even though this still says it's 119, even though it's not a superior piece, it's like, it's 119, but its power is equal to 145, but they just don't change the number. It's weird. They've hit a point where they want to keep making people more powerful. They want to keep adding gear and weapons and stuff for people to do. But they also are trying to, like, hide behind this veil of it's not vertical progression anymore, when it is still very much vertical ever since they made the change. And the horizontal gear grind isn't much better because you need 8 billion pieces. So, not to mention, most of the gameplay is like, it's all like mercs and selling and RMT. Like, there's a lot of all that stuff. More than they're used to. Actually, I take that back. There's not more than there used to be. There's just less of the people who aren't doing it. A lot less of the people that aren't doing it. And yes, I'm talking about Asura. The smaller servers have it too, but not nearly as bad. So, 11 is... I'll be revisiting 11 for its 20th anniversary next year. And I might not do that on Asura. We'll see. Because I actually want to be on a quieter, chiller server, especially for anyone who tries to join me in celebrating 20 years of Final Fantasy 11 by replaying some of the story bits and whatnot. So that's where I'm at. But I think that's all the questions. I think I got through all of them. There's just less of them this week. But thanks everyone for watching this week's episode of Mondays with Mr. Happy. The next one will be like this lightning round the entire time. I will be doing it live on Twitch most likely, so I can save time while I'm doing my Endwalker related stuff. And I'll probably be getting closer to the end of Endwalker's story about that time. So it's gonna be a time. It's gonna be a time. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching. I'll see you in Endwalker. Great to say that. See you in Endwalker. Till next time, take care.